We're all looking for that secret to success, right? That one simple thing. And if you listen to enough advice, one word, it just keeps popping up: consistency. But is it really that simple? Okay, let's get into it. In this explainer, we are going to tackle that exact question. We're going to explore two totally different philosophies. On one hand, you've got the argument that simply showing up day in and day out is the only thing that matters. And on the other, the idea that consistency without the right strategy might just be a total trap. All right, let's start with the side that says showing up is everything. My philosophy is pretty simple. Success isn't built in these huge, flashy moments. It's forged in the small, kind of boring, repetitive things you do every single day. Yeah, it's the boring but effective path, and you know what? It works. And this quote? This gets right to the heart of it. The most successful people out there don't just sit around waiting to feel inspired. Come on, motivation is flaky. It's an emotion. What they do is build systems. They build habits that carry them forward even on the days they'd rather do anything else. You don't rise to your goals, you fall back on your systems. The engine behind all of this is the compounding effect. Seriously, just picture a tiny snowball at the top of a hill. At first, it's nothing. But with every single turn, every small, consistent effort, it grabs a little more snow, gaining momentum until it's this huge, unstoppable force. That's your progress. You don't see it at first, but it's happening. And you see this everywhere. The athlete who's in the gym every single day, not just when they feel strong. The creator who puts out content every single week for years, slowly building an audience. Or the business that grows brick by boring brick. This doesn't just build skill, it builds trust. People learn to count on you. So the most important point from my side is this. Consistency is the ultimate equalizer. Sure, raw talent is impressive, but it's basically useless if it's not applied regularly. I promise you, the person with average talent who shows up every day will almost always beat the genius who only works when they're inspired. But wait a second. What if that's all just wrong? What if consistency by itself isn't just not enough? What if it's actually a massive waste of your time? Let's flip this around and look at the other side of the coin. This is the fundamental problem with the whole just show up idea. If your strategy is flawed, being consistent just means you're getting really, really good at failing. It's like trying to find a sunset by driving east. You can be the most consistent driver in the world, but you're just never, ever going to get there. This slide breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got mindless repetition, just grinding away, making the same mistakes over and over. But on the right, you have strategic adaptation. This is about knowing when to stop, when to change direction, and when to completely abandon a routine that just isn't getting results. Real success often comes from the pivot, not from stubborn persistence. And that whole idea that consistency levels the playing field, honestly, it's a bit of a myth. Imagine two people who start YouTube channels on the same day. They both post one amazing video every single week, but one of them gets a random shout out from a huge creator. Even though they were equally consistent, their outcomes are going to be wildly different. Opportunity and timing, they matter a lot. And that leads us to this really powerful point. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're actually getting anywhere. A short, intense burst of focused, intelligent work on the right thing can accomplish way more than years of just mindlessly grinding away at the wrong thing. The quality of your effort will always beat the quantity. So now we've got our central conflict, right? Is success all about pure discipline, that raw willpower to just keep going no matter what? Or is it really about intelligence, the ability to know what to do, and maybe more importantly, when to change? Let me just ask this. This whole consistency is everything mindset. Isn't that just hustle culture with a nicer marketing campaign? I mean, relentlessly showing up day after day, no breaks. Doesn't that just lead straight to burnout? Is that really a sustainable way to achieve anything long-term? See, it's not about hustle. It's about reliability. Motivation is a feeling. It comes, it goes. Consistency is a system. It's the engine that keeps you chugging along on those days you feel zero drive to do anything at all. It's what's left when all those fleeting feelings are long gone. But there has to be a line, right? At what point does that admirable dedication cross over into just being stubborn? When does sticking with it just become a refusal to admit that your plan isn't working? There's a very fine line between being persistent and just being, well, obstinate. So where do we land with all this? Maybe the answer isn't about picking a side at all. Maybe it's about combining them. And that brings us to a kind of synthesis. The idea that consistency isn't the secret ingredient itself, but it's the force that multiplies everything else. Let's look at this formula. You start with consistency as your foundation. Absolutely. But it only becomes powerful when it's pointed at clear goals. Then you have to mix in feedback so you're actually improving, not just repeating. And finally, and this is key, you have to have the flexibility to adapt when that feedback tells you it's time to change course. So here's the crucial takeaway. Consistency is an amplifier. If you have a brilliant strategy, consistency will make your success almost inevitable. But, and this is a big but, if your strategy is terrible, consistency will just help you fail faster. It's the engine for sure, but you still have to be the one steering the car. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We started this by asking if consistency was the secret to success. But maybe the real secret is that there is no single secret. Maybe consistency is just one vital ingredient in a much bigger, more complex recipe that also needs strategy and timing and the wisdom to know when it's time to try something new.